is today Marshall, aka the Swaggy Blerd, and this is the Blerd Breakdown, the pop culture show for when you need to know, see what happened was. Now, if this is your first time here, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, throw a thumbs up on this video as you see pop up right here, and please be sure to get in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking about all these stories, etc., etc. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to anybody that is back today. A little bit of drama yesterday with the internet. As a matter of fact, let me tweet out again so you guys know that this is even happening. I know some of you popped in already, but we want to make sure everybody knows what's going on. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so we are back. We're trying this again. Okay, great. Know that that's working. The sound is working. All that good stuff. I had a lot of great stories for you yesterday. We're gonna get through them again. I only got through the first one about Zootopia. We'll cover that again super quickly, and then we'll move on to some of the other stuff so you know what's happening. And I even will throw in an extra little sports one from yesterday for those that watched the Patriots Giants game. I can't believe what I saw, but as far as that kicker goes, it feels like we're maybe dealing with a little more, dealing with a little bit more people throwing games, but we'll talk about all that. But again, for those that saw it yesterday, Zootopia 2 already at $600 million. This is Mark Cassidy reporting from Toonado. The final opening weekend numbers for Zootopia 2 are in, and Disney's animated sequel easily won Thanksgiving weekend with a massive $556 million worldwide haul. This gives a family-friendly adventure the best opening for an animated film ever, as well as the fourth highest global opening of all time and the highest of 2025. Domestically, the movie took in $156 million over a 5-day holiday. The 3-day gross was $96.8 million, which is the second highest Thanksgiving opening ever. At this point, Zootopia 2 is pretty much guaranteed to join the $1 billion club, as you can see there. 158 domestic, 401.5 international, and that gave us a 559.5 global, smashing what Wicked for Good is already doing in its 2 weekends, which is crazy. And then you can kind of see the top 5 biggest Thanksgiving weekend openings in North America. So Moana 2, Zootopia 2, Frozen 2, Wicked, and then Hunger Games 2. And those last 3, mind you, are by their second weekend. So big stuff, big stuff, big stuff. I think that this is huge for a number of reasons. I mean, one, we've been talking about how this has been a down year for, box offices. Like, there have obviously still been some big numbers as a whole, so or some big numbers individually. So, like, not Miza 2 obviously was big, but that's a Chinese movie. So if you're talking about like American movies, I mean, the ones that really did numbers. Here, we'll pull that up so you can see it, so I can see it and see if anything has changed. Here, we'll go back. So obviously Lilo and Stitch crossed $1 billion a while ago. The Minecraft movie was right under $1 billion. Jurassic World Rebirth, Demon Slayer, which incredible. The fact that Demon Slayer legitimately took that number 5 spot. It's unfortunately going to be moved because again, Zootopia 2 will definitely cross $1 billion. Avatar will most likely definitely cross $1 billion. And yes, Matt, I am live at 8 a.m. my time. Because of the technical difficulties yesterday, so that's why we're doing a new show today. So again, thank you to anybody that is watching right now. I know it's an off hour from normal, so I'm also aware that the numbers aren't going to be normally what they are, but that's okay. I'm just wanted to get a show for you guys. It's very important to me that we do that. But overall, the fact that we will most likely see 4 movies at $1 billion. This might actually save this year's box office a little bit because Zootopia did that, and it's pretty clear that Avatar will do it too. But this was big, and I think the other main reason why this is such a big deal, I teased maybe me teasing it is what did it, is what messed up my internet. I was just saying that, a fan of the Christian Harloff show and Capes and Cows Fanimator, he talks about how animation is for everybody. And honestly, looking at these numbers once again, I kind of have to give him credit. He's right. I mean, Nizatu, Lilo and Stitch, I know that was live action, but kind of, we'll say, based off an animated thing. But Demon Slayer, same thing. How to Train Your Dragon was live action, but based off an animated thing. I know that's kind of a stretch because then you can make that argument about Superman and all that kind of stuff. But I guess a little different here. But you can see that you're essentially having one, two, and then Zootopia 2 would make 3 animated stuff that is kind of taking over. And we haven't even included the other movies that just had a major ripple effects. So like Chainsaw Man did incredibly well, taking the 23 spot, which is pretty crazy. The Bad Guys 2 did well. There's one more major one that's like not clicking in my brain for some reason. I'm a little tired. But it was a pretty big year for animation, and we got some other stuff going. But I think what this really speaks to more than anything is the fact that we have talked about how movie theaters are technically in trouble. I think when you end up in a situation where you have pushed streaming as much as you have, and we've talked about this before, that you're going to see a downtick in people wanting to go out. And that means that you would essentially need event movies to really get people to show up and show out. So I hate to keep bringing it up, but like, again, Lilo and Stitch, the relaunch of a beloved franchise, event movie. Minecraft movie, again, a game that's been pretty much the top of the food chain, like that and Fortnite and Roblox for the last decade. Event movie. Another Jurassic Park movie, event movie. Demon Slayer, like the first movie to kind of end the series, event movie, like a relaunch. Like, all of these are like big time whatever. Sinners became an event movie. It wasn't necessarily that in and of itself, but it got such word of mouth that it became a culturally iconic shift. And so anything that's not that was struggling. And it worries me, honestly, because while that means, okay, there is a way to save movie theaters, it worries me because it means that you're not going to get as many of your little like indie films or like your just lower budget films that were fun. Like I was still having internet issues last night, so I'm going to drop it after this show, which is funny because when you watch it, you will be like, didn't you say if you're watching this now, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I did. Shut up. You'll see what I'm talking about. I yesterday went to a surprise screening, a screen unseen of Fulcum Hall, which essentially is another kind of spoof airplane scary movie, type movie surrounding what is it, Downton Abbey, like making fun of Downton Abbey. That is not going to be an event movie that's going to crazy move the needle, but that is one of the funniest movies of the year by far and away. It was so fucking funny. And what I'm hoping is that you get more of that and the Naked Guns and things like that that encourage people to go out and that people can enjoy shorter, just laugh your ass off for 90-minute films and then head on back home. That we get some return to form of that kind of stuff that allows for people to flex their acting chops, make new stars, or reinvigorate old ones, and just give us a good time that we're willing to go out and see it. It's hard because, ironically, as the prices for these movies continue to go up, for some people the in and out is great, but like if you're like, well, if I'm going to spend $25 to go to the movies, then give me the most spectacle driven, highest budget, like Jurassic World nonsense, or some insanity with Avatar, which I'm seeing that apparently um, Avatar will cross a billion, according to Matt, who saw a screening of it last night. I saw that Christian saw it as well. We had to cancel our taping yesterday and do it on Thursday because of that. It sounds like Avatar is at it again. Um, so you're gonna spend $25 to go see that in IMAX. Potentially even twice if you're really that obsessed with it. But if you just hear about this like Fulcrum Hall movie, you're like, maybe I'll catch it on streaming, just because you're not going to run the risk on something that you really haven't heard of, that doesn't necessarily have all the biggest actors, that wasn't really on your top 10 list or anything else like that, because it's just gotten expensive to do that, and that's the economy that we're in at this particular point. Um, I am aware that I use A-list, which is very helpful, but not everybody does that, especially if you have families. It would behoove AMC to come up with like a family pack of A-list or something. Like you can get you can get two adult and two children. You can customize, but up to two adults and two children, like AMC A-list passes, so you can take the whole family out, and it costs you, you cut them a deal, and it's like great, it's 75 for the month. So you take the whole family out to the movies multiple times and really kind of rake that in. You have to find a way to get people to want to go back. And so then when these Zootopia moments happen, or the K-pop Demon Hunters or whatever else, that you get the crowds, you get the kids going in, which I'm curious, because I know K-pop Demon Hunters wasn't out very long. I'm scrolling through this. Okay, so it made about 24 million out in the box office, because obviously it was big on Netflix and all that kind of stuff. So either way, it is something that we have to continue to keep an eye on. So shout out to Zootopia for pulling that off. There's obviously still concerns about how the rest of the box office will be, but I want to know what you think. Where is your mind at when you hear all of that? Are you going to see Zootopia 2? Did you already? Et cetera, et cetera. Let me know about all of that, man. And now I want to get to a story that is a little bit political, not really, but it's important for going forward after this holiday season. If you're a big traveler, I think this is pretty important for you to know about. The TSA has announced a $45 fee for travelers with no real ID. This is ABC News' report on it. Travelers going through airport security checkpoints without a real ID or passport will face a $45 fee starting February 1st. The TSA, or the Transportation Security Administration, announced on Monday. This fee is part of the agency's next phase of the Real ID implementation process and will require individuals to verify their identity through a biometric or a biographic system if they don't have a compliant form of identification before they're permitted to cross through the checkpoint. The announcement follows a proposed rule published by the Federal Registrar last month, but the agency increased the fee from its previously proposed amount of $18 to $45. The fee was necessary because we needed to modernize the system. We needed to make sure that the system is safe. Steve Lawrence of TSA's Deputy Executive Assistant Administrator for security purposes told ABC News. TSA says the fee will cover the IT costs associated with the and ensure the expenses covered by the travelers and not the taxpayers. Individuals traveling without a real ID can go online at tsa.gov and follow the instructions listed to verify their identity and pay the fees once it goes into effect next year. After completing the steps, they'll receive an email confirmation to show the TSA officer before they can pass through the checkpoint. The whole process should take typically between 10 to 15 minutes, but could take as much as 30 minutes or even longer. The agency warns that even then, there is no guarantee that an individual will be cleared to cross the security checkpoint. We still need to go through the process to make sure that we verify who you are. For whatever reason, if we can't do that, then you can't go through the process. Travelers in line who get to the checkpoint without an acceptable form of ID will be sent out of line to complete the online verification process before they can proceed. TSA says those with a lost or stolen real ID or passport will have to also pay the fees. Once verified, the fees will cover access through the TSA checkpoint for up to 10 days. After that, if the individual travels without a real ID again, they'll have to pay the fees again. The agency says around 94% of travelers are already using a real ID or another acceptable form of ID. Okay. Again, the main reason for wanting to read that is to, the tagline of the show is the pop culture show for when you need to know, see what happened was. This is to kind of preemptively tell you what will have had happening. I think this is going to be one of those things that is incredibly annoying. I want to say I'm mad about it, and initially reading the headline, I was like, fuck any other additional fee stuff that's with things that are going on, especially with the real ID nonsense and whatnot. But at the same time, it's not like you've been able to just fly without an ID, period. And we have been allowed to figure out the real ID stuff for a long time. And for anybody that has gotten their passport, which I highly, highly recommend that everybody go get your passport. Just do it. Just do it. It tend not to be too expensive. If anything, if you think about it this way, I think the fee for a passport is probably about like $75. Pay that the one time, and then don't pay this fee, because your passport counts as a real ID. If you have a passport, you can do that instead of the real ID, driver's license, which every state is requiring it at this point. So if you drive in your state, you're going to need it anyway. But I just wanted you to know about this because I don't want anybody to get surprised. I think we're in a state already where nobody's just rolling in extra money. If you are, congratulations. Can you lend a Streamlab? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, throw me a bone here, man. But most people are not. And so in that case, I really wanted to make sure that everybody knew about this so that you're not caught unawares. Now, initially when I read it, I thought it was happening during this holiday season, which would have really been effed up for people that just weren't ready. But again, you have till February 1st. So I guess the first set of people that are going to be hit are the folks that genuinely do have too much money and are like probably going to the Super Bowl or something like that, you know? So either way, we will see what's going on there. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you already got your real ID, all that kind of stuff, I want to know. Now, real quick, let me throw this poll back in that I had before. So I was asking this yesterday if you guys would be into a Christmas movie watch along. I was going to record some Christmas movies reactions. I mean, I love doing a Christmas movie a day. I typically start at the end of Thanksgiving, but I started yesterday when we put up the tree. It was just me and my fiance. We did. She had never seen The Night Before. For those that haven't seen that one, that's what Anthony Mackie, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen, and a lot of other celebrities that are throughout that movie. That's what I was talking about, like a smaller budget, like comedy, but like really just like tickles your soul, man. Like we saw kind of the end of that in the mid, like the aughts and the teens, the 20 teens. We've kind of seen the end of that, but I love that, and I would love to. I say all that to say I would love to come and do a bunch of like Christmas movies with you guys, man. One of my favorite things to do. So yeah, let me know in the poll if that's something you'd be down for. I also forgot to mention, I am so excited to announce that we officially have memberships here on the channel, man. So please take a look at the tiers, check it out. I'll be adding more perks as we go. But we're going to be doing an exclusive live stream once a month for one of the tiers. You'll be getting early access to videos whenever they're actually video essays and stuff like that. That'll kind of happen. Again, more perks will come out over time, but I was very excited to get that kicked off on the channel, especially getting ready to go into 2026 to continue to bring better, more consistent, a lot more content to you guys. So check that out. Let me know what you're thinking, and let's go on to this next story. Shout out to the people that I see in here so far that have said what's up. Haskell, Matt Thomas, Izzy9888, Quadface. Thank you to everybody that's spoken up so far. Appreciate that. And I do see there are more watching, and some of you are shy. I appreciate you just being here. That's the important part. But let's talk some nerd stuff, man. I've got 3 stories regarding Supergirl that dropped yesterday. And here's the first one. Supergirl first reactions offer some brief insights into the first DCU movie, not directed by James Gunn. Josh Wilding reporting. Test screenings are essential for studio to gauge where they're going right and wrong with an upcoming movie. However, in this day and age, it's become inevitable that at least one or more attendees will head straight to social media to share spoilers and reactions. Superman's entire plot leaked online before the movie's July release. We wouldn't be surprised to see the same thing happen with Supergirl, particularly as DC Studios is still finding its feet. Marvel Studios is likely to be a little more careful with Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday, given the secrecy of their respective plots, but there's been plenty of rumors anyway. Back to Supergirl. And while test screenings with members of the public haven't taken place yet, the trades recently confirmed that an early cut was shown to executives and select people on the Warner Brothers lot. When an ex-user, Black Magic Man 90, claimed, "I've heard from multiple people in SAG that Supergirl is amazing," Scooper Daniel Rickman chimed in to reply, "I've heard the same as well, that the movie is very good." So then both said, replying to that, "For what it's worth," another ex-user, Deadman Boston B, added, "I know someone who was at a test screening. He said it was a very positive reception and foresees the movie being very well received. It certainly seems to bode well for the next chapter of the Superman saga, but given the creative team involved and the fact that James Gunn appears to be keeping a close eye on the project, starting with casting Millie Alcock, changes were in for a chances are. See, that wasn't me this time. Chances are we're in for a treat next summer. The first trailer for Supergirl is expected to be released in the next week or two, and possibly as soon as this weekend, with the DCU movie set to have a presence at CCXP in Brazil. You'd best believe they'll bring a sneak peek to you the instant it swoops online. It's very true. The graphic novel is based on Woman of Tomorrow, Oppenheimer star David Krumholtz recently revealed, which is great. I'm thrilled to be sort of the next piece of telling the story of Krypton and sort of further clarifying what the House of L is all about. Krumholtz went on to say that everybody knows that Jason Momoa is playing Lobo in it. It's Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow comic plus Lobo. That was my question: is where does that come in? So Supergirl drops June 26th to 26, man. Okay. I have said this multiple times, especially knowing the Woman of Tomorrow comic, which I highly recommend everybody read. It is fantastic. I think this is my most anticipated superhero movie of next year. Again, until I get trailers, like, things could move around. Think about it as like a sports season. You know, you have your favorites going into it, and then as things kind of play out, like marketing and whatnot, things will move around. But right now, this is the one that I'm most anticipated for, because I know the story that the comic is based off of. I ultimately liked Millie Alcock's casting after seeing her in Superman. So I'm very, very excited for this. So this is nothing but good to hear that people are really enjoying these initial screenings, but I got to keep the same energy. The same thing I said when people want to talk shit about screenings that they saw. The point of test screenings, the point of anything, when you turn in the paper early, you go, like, if you're writing your thesis in college, for those that have gone to college or that are in it right now, when you do that, you go to your professor, you sit down, you kind of give them whatever draft, you talk about some stuff that worked, you talk about stuff that didn't work. It is a process meant to then help you turn around and go make the absolute best final product possible. This is the same thing. Test screenings are exactly in the name, test. They are meant for you to go, get some notes about, hey, this worked really well, I love this, do more of this, or leave this exactly as it is, or go, this really doesn't work. Oh, shit. Oh, God damn it, I done broke. Y'all, I'm having a week. I just broke my goddamn phone screen. You've shout out to Izzy that sent in the super chat earlier, because I'm going to have to essentially take that money and turn around and get my phone fixed. God damn it. I'll read the super chat in a little bit. The super chats in the Streamlabs. Motherfucker, lost my train of thought. You use those moments to, get the best quality product out of the project that you're making. And so in the same way that it doesn't move the needle for me when they're like, oh, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Okay, cool. That's what that time is for. It's not going to no pun intended, it's not going to super move the needle for me to say it's good, it's good, it's good. That's good. I'm like, okay, great. But it's not the final product. The movie is not out. It needs to be judged on its own. And there are plenty of people that have hyped stuff up in the past and then ended up being dog shit. So I'm happy to hear that that's what's going on, but I'm not going to put a lot of weight into it, because they're still going to go back and make changes. that it's just like that. Um, it is cracked, so a screen like it's not black and white. It's just cracked. So the screen replacements aren't crazy, but nobody is trying to spend that kind of money right now. So it is what it is. Not important. We got to focus on the show, man. Let's keep talking about Supergirl news because there were two other major stories that were kind of covered. The first being Millie Alcock kind of having a feeling of like, damn, what have I done? This is Daniel Klissman from Comic Book Movie Reporting. Oops, here you go. So you can look at it too. Arguably, one of the most exciting upcoming projects in the DCU is Craig Gillespie's Supergirl, starring Millie Alcock as the titular character. The film promises to be a fresh take on the DC world, delivering a grand science fiction adventure in line with the source material. The renowned Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King and Bilquis Evely. Okay. Depending on how it performs critically and financially, the role could be a major stepping stone for Alcock, who first rose to prominence playing Rhaenyra Targaryen in HBO's House of the Dragon. As exciting as the prospect may be, carrying a whole franchise starter on one's back can be intimidating, and as Alcock recently revealed, accepting the role came with some trepidation on her part. Speaking to Forbes Australia for a new profile on her career, the actress shared that upon being told she had landed the role of Supergirl, her first reaction was, understandably, of both excitement and fear. Her worry was such that she called up the film's director, Craig Gillespie, to express her concerns. I thought, what have I done? I really struggled to believe I could do it. I even called the director, saying, I don't know how to be that person. I'm just me. Fortunately, she ended up coming to the realization that she needed to trust herself. Eventually, I realized the only way through was to trust myself. I always believe life is right on time. Things happen when they're supposed to, whether you feel ready or not. Earlier in the interview, Alcock also discussed an event that prompted her to face serious self-doubt. The DCU star revealed that while filming House of the Dragon, a member of the production, who was not named, approached her and suggested she take acting lessons. She stated that though the interaction affected her confidence, she ultimately realized the comment wasn't meant to be cruel. I was young and on the other side of the world, already doubting myself. It just knocked any confidence I had, but in hindsight, it made the work better. No one's trying to be cruel. If you do well, they do well. Film is collaborative. Going back to the monumental nature of the Supergirl role, Alcock is aware of how much her life could change should the movie perform well. She stated that while there are certain places she can go to without worrying about being recognized, she suspects things will change once her DC Studios project lands in theaters. People mean well, but sometimes they invade your space, they chase you, you lose anonymity. I still want to take the tube and go to the pub. In London, it's fine. In other places, not so much. It comes in waves. I know when Supergirl comes out, things will shift again. Alcock is one of the most gifted young actors around. A good example of her performing prowess and charisma is in her role in Superman. Despite being on screen for only a few seconds, Alcock took over the scene and quickly became one of the film's most memorable characters. It's not an easy thing to do, particularly in a movie with actors like David Cornswood, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult giving you that fire. With that, Kara Zor-El will likely have no problem becoming the favorite of many moviegoers once the film arrives in June 26th of next year. Look, man, that is totally understandable. I think what she is describing is what we all worry about, the idea of imposter syndrome. You know what I mean? I think that is something that we get no matter what field we're working in. This idea that, like, you've worked really hard for something, you finally get it, and then you're just like, oh my God, like, should I actually be here? Do I actually have the skills, the experience? People are going to know I'm a fraud, et cetera, et cetera. I think that is a very real feeling that people go through, and especially actors. You get that whole scenario of I can imagine someone meant well with the acting lessons comment, but you're already working on a professional set like that, so it seems to be implying, no, you're dog shit. And that is pretty scary. You know what I mean? That is the scary part, especially if the goal is to ultimately play this character for a decade. Like, I'm sure Millie has probably seen the way that Brie Larson has been unfortunately treated. Now, mind you, it, in my opinion, wasn't for the acting at all. I think that she's been doing a good job. It is purely because once she made that one comment about wanting to see more people of color and women asking her questions as well, and not just straight white dudes, that, you know, the incel hounds came for her. I'm sure there was something in the back of her mind that has seen that, or She-Hulk, or anything else like that, where women in these spaces, if it doesn't go exactly how they want it, are going to lose their shit. So, and let alone outside of that, I'm sure she's seen everything that's kind of gone on with like the Snyderverse and everything else. That this is a pretty heavy thing, and it really can change her life. And I hope it does. I hope she crushes, and I hope that she gets to the spot where she wants to be. Um, but I think we can all relate to this idea of worrying that this next big step in our life, this next big adventure, doesn't go exactly how we want. But I believe, just like Kara in Woman of Tomorrow, she will not only make that journey, it may be hard at times, but she will ultimately crush it and get to where she needs to go. So that's my 2 cents on that. Let's get to this last little bit of the story. There was a rumor that $200 million budget was used on Supergirl. James Gunn debunks it. This is Daniel Klissman again. James Gunn and Peter Safran's DC Universe continues to grow. Following the release of Superman, the studio is now gearing up for the premiere of Supergirl in a few months, starring Millie Alcock and directed by Craig Gillespie, who did I, Tonya and Cruella. The film is an adaptation of Tom King's and Bill Quist Evelyn's Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow comic book. Much like its source material, Supergirl is expected to be a sci-fi epic, seemingly remaining faithful to its roots, while introducing exciting new elements into the story, such as Jason Momoa's space-based bounty hunter Lobo. The thing about sci-fi epics is, they tend to be particularly expensive. For a brief period of time, it looked like Supergirl wouldn't be the exception to the rule. Forbes Australia recently published a profile on Millie, we just talked about that, where it stated the film came with a price tag of $200 million. Damn. James Gunn, however, has since debunked the information. When asked on Threads if the number was legitimate, Gunn simply responded, not even a little bit true. Had it been accurate, though, the number would have fallen into a fairly standard range for comic book movies, for comparison, below our budgets for superhero projects of the recent years. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, $388, The Flash, $200, The Marvels, $374, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, $205, Thunderbolts, $180, Fantastic Four: First Steps, $200. Superman is a little more complicated to pin down in terms of a budget, given there's a debate regarding the final costs of the David Cornswet-led film. A purported Ohio tax filing stated the project had a gross budget of $363.8 million. James Gunn debunked this on Threads, stating, I don't know if it's faked or if it's just some weird form an assistant in the Cleveland office filled out, putting random stuff in the blanks. I sent it to our accountants and financial producers when it came out over a year ago, and no one knew what it was. I can just tell you it wasn't anyone on our team that did this. Later, though, the Hollywood Reporter reported the amount was somewhat accurate. It's worth noting that even if the budget reported in the filing was legitimate, part of it was likely recouped through those tax rebates. As of now, the most excuse me. As of now, the most commonly accepted figure for the film is $225. Looking at those numbers, Supergirl's now debunked budget would have not only been common in the industry, it actually would have been on the lower end of spending in the genre. Nevertheless, such a price tag would put its profit benchmark at a high level. Superhero films typically don't go below $100 million for marketing. Adding that lower amount to this recently shared budget, Supergirl could come with a price tag of at least $300 million. Using that number and going by industry standards of revenue of participation, Supergirl would have had to roughly bring in $600 million to break even, and that's assuming the lowest end of marketing costs. Sadly, that becomes a tough bar to clear in recent years. With that in mind, it would be interesting to see how Supergirl performs in theaters. Regardless of the now debunked $200 million budget as a sci-fi epic, the film is unlikely, though not impossible, to come in on the cheap end. Superhero genre has been in decline in recent years. Movies that have been previously guaranteed blockbusters like Superman and Fantastic Four: First Steps perform only relatively okay, with Superman only reaching approximately $616 million. It's somewhat difficult to imagine Supergirl doing better than that, given her relative obscurity when compared to her cousin. Having said that, even if the film struggles theatrically, it will have other avenues to fall back on, like merchandising, home video sales, and brand partnerships, all of which have proven fruitful for comic book projects. Furthermore, this question regarding profitability can be applied to any superhero movie starring in each character with a budget over $150. Supergirl is specifically used in this case because it is arguably the most high-profile superhero project coming out in 2026, starring a relatively obscure hero. The rest of the year will see the release of movies starring Spider-Man and the Avengers, both proven brands. Clayface is not considered for that category, given that while its protagonist is unknown, The film is reported to have a budget of only around $40 million. Fairly easy, profitable benchmark to clear for a horror feature. This isn't to say the situation is looking dire for Supergirl, of course. While challenging, given the aforementioned circumstances faced the comic book genre, there's very much a possibility that Supergirl will find an audience at a level that other projects have failed to achieve. Alcock's Superman cameo generated a lot of excitement for her character, which could translate into better and brighter box office returns. Okay, so it is something that is like a concern for sure. We've talked about how these budgets have to come down, but 200 isn't the worst in the world. And anybody, Roka's my boy. I love him. I don't know if he's watching it. His weird vendetta of gun lies, all that. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal for something like this, honestly. Like, okay, 200, I think, is like your kind of your max for something like this. And again, you saw these other numbers. Let me bring it back of other movies. Now, mind you, I understand that we've seen some struggles in the box office here, but Quantumania, The Flash, The Marvels, Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom, Thunderbolts, and First Steps. So your contemporaries of Thunderbolts and First Steps at 180 and 200 did okay. They could have done a lot better. Thunderbolts, I believe, that put them right below making money, which sucks. And then Fantastic Four, I think that they hit just at profitability. You can't really look at The Flash or Aquaman The Lost Kingdom just because end of that franchise's stuff. The Flash actually ended up, if I remember correctly, being closer to 300 to 350 after reshoots because they had to do a lot of reshoots. Marvel's, again, out of control with the number of reshoots, like an insane amount of them. Same thing kind of with Quantumania, but you were also going super, super big on it, and then you move stuff around too much and blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of hard to kind of compare these. I think the only ones you can compare it to are Thunderbolts and First Steps here. And Thunderbolts most closely because that was another obscure character. The Fantastic Four, pretty marquee. I think it's not a big deal until we really get what the final thing is. If Gunn is saying that's not right, then okay, it's not right. Again, no need to get bent out of shape, and like that's not calling out Roka specifically. That's calling out anybody that was like, oh, here we go. It's a little different when you end up with an actual final number, not some random rumored estimation, but a final number like Crystal Skull, which I want to say was like 325 or something like that, 350, something insane. And the movie is not only not a good movie, but it bombs. The reason why The Flash was a problem is like it was an okay movie at best and it bombed. Like if we get there with Supergirl and the numbers come out that, yeah, bro, they spent like 250 to make this movie and it just doesn't hit where it needs to, then you have to go back and go, well, why did you let this balloon? But him being like, no, that's not true. Okay. Yes, it's his word versus the reporter's word one way or the other, but it's not a thing until it's a thing. That's part of what I get, that this is what movie news has evolved into. But that and hell, I'm even reporting on it right now. But I guess trying to rein people back in that are freaking out about it is you're kind of making a nothing burger into something, and really just kind of dusting up drama the same way that unfortunately I said I would stop talking about it in our group chat, Matt. But if you're still watching, the way that like the media is intentionally trying to dust up bullshit with Shador. After this most recent game, there was like oh, did you like the fact that your coach like really kind of took his foot off the gas or whatever else? Like I want to say off of like the tight end play, like a sneak they tried to do. And he goes, I'm just happy to be playing. It was this thing of like intentionally trying to poke the bear to be like, yeah, you and Kevin hate each other, don't you? It is what people are doing as far as clickbait. It's why Webster's dictionary, I guess their number one word of the year was rage bait. It's kind of what people are trying to do. This is meant to be a clickbait or rage bait type story to go, oh, you see, James Gunn's a failure. He's wasting all the money. Like that is what people are always trying to do just so they can get whatever sort of clicks and revenue that they can out of stuff. So all that being said, with all of those Supergirl reports, all of the stuff that we just covered, what sticks out to you, Millie's interview, the budget, the test screenings. Let me know what you think in the comments, man. And let's get it pushing on to our last set of stories, which is going to be some sports stuff. We had a lot of stuff go on over the weekend, over the Thanksgiving weekend, and I got to share some with you. So let's start off with this, man. Trevone Boykin, an ex-NFL quarterback, had this stupid shit to say. Let me put my headphones on so I can hear it with you and make sure that you can hear it. But he had this stupid, hear myself. Had this stupid shay about Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, I went to his house for Thanksgiving. The weirdest feel like he catered. So no, like, bro, I come from a traditional country black family.
We throwing down.
If I got as much money as Russell Wilson, my whole family would talk about me so bad if I ain't fly everybody out there for Thanksgiving. And I'm sponsored by an airline.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not close to his family.
And maybe he not. But his mama wasn't there. Sisters wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though, like, it's still weird to me. I'm just still, even if you don't food with your family, like, it's still weird to me on Thanksgiving. My family gonna do the food. This is what we gonna do. If you the one with the money, we coming to your house. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me that's what we gonna do. So, Russell Wilson, like, it's literally him, Sierra Daddy, me, Noonie, Baby Future, the chef, and 2 nannies. And 3 dogs. And Baby Future at that time was bad as hell. hey, Baby Future, what you think? You know, everybody going around the room saying what they thankful for and shit. Like, Baby Future, what you thankful for? Oh, just thankful for. I think he said something like, I mean, he was a kid though. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, he was a kid. I think he a lot better than that. But at that time, like, bro was just, you knew, like, I think he understood it. Like, he knew he was just spoiled, just bad. You feel me? Like, who his daddy was, who his mama was, who he hanging around. Like, he started to understand. And so in that case, like, but then I leave Russ' crib, go to Earl Thomas' crib.
Earl, that's more family origin because you met me there.
We was home when I stepped off at Earl crib.
We playing spades, good food.
Spades,
like we
in there.
Shout out Earl, bro.
Area 29, bro. Shout out. I know you got the restaurant down there in Seattle, and it might be one in Austin too.
All right.
Russell Wilson.
So this Trevone dude. Let's see here. Hold on. Let me make sure. Can y'all still hear me? Just somebody give me a thumbs up real quick because it sounded like I was getting a little bit of an echo. All right. First of all, fuck that guy. I don't even know who this dude is. I didn't know until I saw this video and I had to go look him up. But I want to share some information on Trevone Boykin for those that don't know, because he's kind of a piece of shit. So Trevone Boykin was a quarterback for TCU back in college. He twice earned second team All-American honors. He signed with the Seahawks as an undrafted free agent in 2016. He was Russell Wilson's backup. He ultimately wasn't that good and got bounced out of the league and plays for the Mexican Liga de Fútbol Americano Profesional, the LFA. That's where he's at now. But what I really find interesting about this man trying to essentially come for Russell Wilson and how he decided to handle his family on Thanksgiving, let me just read you a little bit of this gentleman's troubles as over time. December 31st of 2015, 2 days prior to the 2016 Alamo Bowl, which was set to be Boykin's final college game, he was arrested in San Antonio, Texas, after a bar fight in which he threw a punch that hit a patrol officer. He was charged with assaulting a public servant, a third-degree felony, assigned a $5,000 bond, and suspended from the game. He also was charged for public intoxication and resisting arrest. Boykin pleaded no contest and received a year of probation. As part of the probation, he was ordered to attend alcohol awareness sessions and anger management classes. He also was fined $1,500 and ordered to undergo 80 hours of community service. Then in 2017, Boykin was arrested in Dallas, Texas, my hometown, for misdemeanor charges of possession of marijuana. That one I feel a little bit less about, just because I think that the weed laws are ridiculous, and that's nonsense. But he was a passenger in the seat of that car while backing up at high speeds. They struck pedestrians on a nearby sidewalk and then the side of a local bar. The driver was charged with 2 counts of felony intoxication, assault with the vehicle. Boykin was held on $5,000 bond. So again, it sounded like he wasn't driving in that one. I'm not giving him as much as that, and I don't feel as much about the weed, but you're getting fucked up with people and hitting pedestrians with a car and a bar. But here's the big one. In March of 2018, 1 year after this last thing in Dallas, a report was made that Boykin had broken his girlfriend, Shabrika Bailey's jaw during an altercation the previous week. Subsequently, he was then released by the Seahawks. He was later charged with aggravated assault causing bodily injury. In June of 2019, he was given additional charges of aggravated assault of a family member with a deadly weapon and tampering with a witness following the 2018 incident. November 6, 2019, Boykin was arrested for violating conditions of his bond. While still in police custody on December 9th, he was charged with a misdemeanor theft for failing to pay for a hotel stay from October 29th. He was charged with an additional 2 counts of misdemeanor theft on December 30th after agreeing to sell TCU memorabilia, receiving payments, and refusing to deliver them in January of 2019. On February 27th of 2020, Boykin was sentenced to 3 years in prison for the assault of Bailey after pleading guilty to aggravated assault and witness tampering. So, I'm just going to say, maybe keep Russell Wilson's name out your fucking mouth. Maybe don't talk about people and their families when yo ass is the exact opposite of what we would call a family man. You're out here getting in fights before the biggest game of your career. You're out here hanging out with people that are driving fucked up and hitting pedestrians with their car and sides of bars. And more importantly, you abusive bitch, you are out here breaking the jaw of your girlfriend. You're gonna talk about family and you're breaking the jaws of the women in your family? Like, nah, bro. Like, shut the fuck up. And there have been other people that I think have spoken to it better, in the fact that they have said, what is it about Russell Wilson that somehow makes, as the family man that he is, everybody want to just flip out and like lose their mind, I guess, and they get real insecure whenever Russell is essentially brought up. It's very interesting to watch in real time of how that keeps happening, that people are that insecure about Russ. But all that being said, let's jump to the next sports story. Now, this one is funny. I'm sure Matt will be tuned in here. I have not seen the latest proposal on WNBA news, but I will check that out. Maybe we'll take our last story that was supposed to be about Aaron Rodgers and talk about the W instead. But this involves the Browns, and this is fantastic. This is Shelby Harris. He's a defensive tackle for the Browns, and Jauan Jennings. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I need to change this. I know why I'm getting this. Okay. I needed to turn the monitor off so I wasn't losing my mind here. So Shelby had this to say about Jauan Jennings, who a week ago we were talking about how he got punched in the nuts by another player. We call that player kind of dirty. Well, this time, Shelby Harris is saying that, nah, fuck him. So check this out.
He's a hoe, and I want that known. Like, I see why he got punched in the nuts, because that's he says some things that you should not say to another man, ever. But, I don't respect it because you say that, then run behind your O-line. That's some real soft shit, and I want that known. I see exactly why they punched in the nuts. I'm surprised nobody punched him in the jaw yet. He's a hoe.
That's the best part, is that is the starting quote, is, he's a hoe. Like, you just out the gate. He a hoe. A whole ass hoe. Look, man. I guess it's a fuck Jauan, because this is the incident they were talking about, so let's see.
And I want that known. Like, I see why he got punched in the nuts.
So someone's over there hurt,
some things that
and you're running your mouth and talking shit.
And I want that known. Like, I see why he got punched in the nuts, because that's some, he says some things that you should.
Like, that's genuinely.
And I want that known.
I'm
He's
gonna
a hoe,
save this
and I
meme.
want that known.
That's funny.
He's a hoe,
I'm definitely
and I
gonna.
want that
He's a hoe. I want that known. What is this? Miles Garrett elaborated on what Jauan. Oh, here we go.
Raised, but
Let's see.
well, I can't speak for how he was raised, but if you have nothing good to say, don't say something to somebody. So, he had a lot to say that was demeaning and disparaging towards some of our players, and I was just trying to separate everybody. And I tried to go up and ask for what the problem was, and then he started coming at me. And I mean, some guys just roll like that. I don't feel like that belongs in the game. But hey, if that works for him and them, then more power to him. But I'm just trying to keep my guys focused on the game and not worried about stuff outside of it, because we're focused on what's on the field.
So none of that had anything to do with Malik, how Malik got hurt or anything like that?
No, he was just yapping.
Known. He's a hoe.
So, I mean, to that point, man, I think the general theme right now of these two stories is hoe ass bitches should probably shut the fuck up. Like people were quote unquote feeling bad for Jauan getting punched in the nuts, and like you said, like Shelby said, clearly it was for a reason. Clearly you deserve to get punched in the nuts for a reason. So, all right, let me see if I can find really quick this WNBA news, because we got to get out of here. Got to get to work. WNBA. Let's see. Okay. Oh, interesting. Oh, wow. Okay. Here we go. This is the front office sports report on it. We're just going to read it straight up. We're going to read it together. WNBA proposes cutting team housing earlier start to season. The league is proposing a 7-figure base maximum salary, but it's coming at a cost, multiple sources told FOS. The WNBA has proposed a 7-figure base max salary as part of the new collective bargaining agreement, but it's coming at a cost. The league has removed team housing from proposals submitted to the Women's National Basketball Players Association, including the most recent. Several league sources told Front Office Sports teams have been required to provide players with in-season housing since 2016. The league has also proposed lengthening the season, including an earlier start date than expected to interfere with the NCAA tournament and potentially other leagues such as Project B. The start date of training camp could be as early as mid-March, sources indicated. The current 44-game regular season runs from mid-May to early September. The WNBA finals ended October 10th. Doesn't make logical sense, one source told FOS. The WNBA declined to comment. The league's latest proposal, reported Monday, was highlighted by salary increases. According to a source familiar with the negotiation, the league proposal includes a max base salary of $1 million, with potential earnings from revenue sharing increases that number to 1.2. Multiple players per team would be eligible to sign for the Supermax base in 2026. The average salary is expected to exceed salary is projected to exceed $500,000 with a minimum of more than $225,000. The salary cap currently $1.5 million per team would increase to $5 million. Under the league's most recent proposal, the salary cap would grow with league and team revenue regardless of targets. A source familiar with negotiations said, closer to what players have been asking for. Under the current CBA, players have multiple options during the regular season and the playoffs for housing. Players can either stay in housing provided by the team or receive a monthly stipend, which varies by city. Players with children under the age of 13 receive a 2-bedroom unit. The monthly stipend for players who opt not to live in team provided houses ranges from $1,100 in Vegas to $2,600 in New York. The players most affected would be those under temporary contracts who will, in many cases, be in WNBA markets for only a short period of time. League is mandated under the current CBA to use reasonable efforts to secure 30 job opportunities during the offseason, whether with sponsors or teams in the leagues other than the WNBA. These employers are permitted to provide off-season housing to players as part of their employment terms. Players signed to team and league marketing agreements are also eligible to receive housing assistance in the offseasons. The current CBA would allow the WNBA to move the start of training camp up to April 1st at the earliest. It cannot be moved up more than 30 days before the first day of the regular season. The season is currently permitted to run through August 31st. In recent years, training camp has begun at the end of April, weeks after the conclusion of the NCAA tournament and the WNBA draft. Last October, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert announced the league's decision to increase the regular season to a 44-game slate. The schedule change included the WNBA final switching to a 7-game format. Multiple sources have interpreted the WNBA's latest proposal as directly interfering with the timeline of the NCAA tournament and would have rookies arriving weeks into the season. Prioritization, which was included in the last CBA, requires players to be in a market by the start of training camp or face suspension, has been a divisive topic between owners and players. It has had a significant impact on international players who place significant importance on playing for their federations and in the EuroLeague. Since the WNBA was founded, it signed on to FIBA's letter of clearance system that permits players to sign contracts in multiple leagues. It's unclear at this point how the WNBA will furthers interference with the FIBA calendar would impact the league's relationship with global competitors. The league and players union failed to reach an agreement on a new CBA by the previous extension date of the 30th. On Sunday, both sides agreed to have a second extension to the deadline of January 9th. Interesting. So, I'll definitely want to go back and read. I haven't heard of front office sports, so I'll definitely want to go back and read Yahoo's, as Matt says it's there. I want to probably read what ESPN is saying about it. What I don't like is the housing thing. I think specifically there's got to be a way to kind of keep that, and I think you need to really speak to if a player is truly signed for a multi-year type thing. So if we're dealing with a Caitlin Clark, yeah, fine, the housing thing is cut. If you're dealing with, maybe not as big of a star, but a staple. So say like De'Erica Hamby over in the Sparks. She's been a big player for us and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay, you don't have the housing because you have these bigger contracts. Like it should be if you have a contract of a certain level, then the housing is not offered. But if you are a player that's like you're on a minimum or you're in with certain range, stuff like that, in the same way that you would look at like ACA benefits, I know those are trying to be cut by this current administration, but if you think of the ACA benefits and the idea of, if you're in a certain tax bracket, then you get a certain level of coverage. And if you're in a higher one, then you don't. I think the same thing. If your contract has you there for longevity, you're being paid really good money, then you shouldn't. Now, I don't know specifically what the ladies were asking for. I like the fact that the max has now gotten them into 7 figures that should have been there a while ago. I hope that continues to grow because they did sign some multi-billion-dollar distro deal. And so I really hope that there's something built into the CBA that this has true growth in it. But it sounds like they're still negotiating. Like they haven't quite hit exactly where they want to go yet. So my initial thoughts are I hate that they have to continue to negotiate. And that, they weren't able to get everything that they wanted at this particular moment, but it's going to take time. And we're just going to have to continue to watch and see what happens. So let me know what you think. And then, so Matt says, the Supermax needs to be at least $2 million if they're making the season longer and getting rid of housing. Yeah, I agree. They really need to do something because, again, you got to keep in mind for those that don't think about this stuff. Let's say your salary is $1 million. Okay, well, you got to pay your agent, you got to pay your management, you got to pay lawyers, you got to pay taxes. Typically, when you finish doing all that, someone is walking away with maybe 30 to 40% of their stuff. So, you know what I mean? Like the most of that money is already gone. So I really say you need to keep, and that's going to be for the people on the minimum as well. So you need to keep the housing for anybody that's not, I would argue, that's not at a supermax. Anybody that's not at the max deal needs to, the housing thing should stay. I'm gonna change my mind in what I was saying there. I was originally saying people on the minimum. Anybody not on the max, because just thinking about that, especially because, think about it this way. I'm a player, I'm making $500,000. Like I said, call that, that most of that is going to be gone, because so let's be generous and say you're only getting 35% of it. You're making 175. And that's after taxes and lawyers and blah blah blah. Now let's say you play for Los Angeles. Okay, I mean, like, that's like decent money, but like in Los Angeles, it's pretty expensive here. Well, let's say you're playing for the Sparks, you get traded to the Liberty. Well, now you got to pack up your family and move to New York. And then you're there for a little bit, and then you get shipped off to Dallas. You know how quickly that 175 will disappear if you're being forced to pick up your life and move multiple times. Now, that's the life of an athlete, but again, when you're either making enough money that you can afford to move like that, or that you're being compensated to try and help out, like a stipend to do that. Like plenty of companies, if they hire you, will offer a moving bonus in order to do that. So I think that they need to make sure that that is protected. Just doing the quick maths right there. I think that definitely needs to be protected. So that's my 2 cents. Let me know what you think. And that's going to be the show. Let me get to these super chats real quick and these Streamlabs. Anything that came in, I want to thank anybody that has supported today. I think we had 2 come in. The first from Izzy9888. Thank you so much. Thank you for the show redo. I had to do it. I was really frustrated yesterday that we had a lot of people watching, and then it had to just kind of crash on me. So I had to come back and make sure you guys got a show. And then Gnarsgad, which I believe I'm trying to, looking at the profile picture, I don't know why it didn't put I think that's Gopal from Capes and Cows, who also sends in a super chat saying rare morning stream support. Thank you so much, Gopal. I appreciate that as well. Yeah, man, I normally do these at 5 p.m. Pacific time on Mondays, but again, we had a little bit of an issue, so I had to come on back. And then let me look at this poll. Let me close the poll. Looks like you guys would be down for a Christmas watch along, so we will do that. We'll get that popping. And the last thing I really want to plug, other than obviously subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, throwing a thumbs up on the video, getting in the comments about anything that you heard here today. I have the exciting news of I have started memberships here on the channel. Right now, the only video that's up currently is the full uncut version of the Blerd's Gonna Feud is up there for you to watch, but there will be other more exclusive videos to be coming very soon. You'll get access to new stuff. You'll get in just member-only videos. I'm going to be doing a 1 member-only stream a month as well. So there'll be a lot of really dope stuff to come from that, and those perks will evolve over time and whatnot. So definitely check that out. See what tier works for you. And I would love to have the support if that is something you would like to do to support the channel. So with that, I'm going to take off, because if I don't go soon, my boss is going to climb down my throat and be like, I know you be doing your little podcast. She's not even black, and yet somehow I feel like she would disrespect me that way, talking about my little podcast like she's my mama. So I got to get out of here. But thank you so much for watching. I will see y'all on the flip, man. And then later today, Spill the Tequila, myself and John Roca on the John Roca channel. So with that, I will get out of here. Peace.